leadership and love, that seems like an oxymoron. Like Army intelligence or, we don't want any Army I've been giving each speech in this manual on the topic of leadership, and some of you may have heard some of those speeches, and I'll be referring to them as we go along. To me, these two terms, as oxymoronic as they may seem, embody what leadership is about. Now, I quote, because he knew I was giving this speech. Yesterday, our president said, "We exercise our leadership best when we are listening." And I can only conclude that not only did he know I was going to give this speech, but he also heard my speech from last year. That's the only explanation I can possibly think of. But again, we exercise our leadership best when we are listening. What a wonderful way of summarizing my point about what leadership is about. Leadership is not about being a decider. Leadership is about gathering resources, marshaling those resources of every individual in whatever group you're doing, and directing them towards a common goal. Any glitches I will blame on Bill Gates because I'm forced to use this Windows machine. Actually several centuries ago, Goethe said, treat people as if they were what they ought to be, and you help them become what they are capable of being. And to me that summarizes another dimension of leadership, which is about empowering people, about helping people to become more of what they are capable of. And in the process of empowering people and helping direct them towards this common goal, you are that much more effective at reaching that goal. We have plenty of examples in the news of the opposite of this. And for far too long, our leaders, or our so-called leaders, in government, in industry, have not heeded this message. They have looked out for number one. They have looked out for their own individual self-interest and used others for their own personal gain. The opposite of that is helping empower people to become more capable, to become more benefited by the common interest. And it's not about kindness, and it's not about benevolence. It's about being more effective in achieving what those goals are. Many years ago, I belonged to a group called the Ethical Society of St. Louis, and one of their mantras was this statement, which I think is, in a way, a rephrasing of Goethe's, but in a very positive way. It acts was to bring out the best in others, and thereby in yourself. And this is an interesting combination, because this goes beyond what the previous one was. And this is really, I think, cuts to the core of what leadership is. In other words, by bringing out the best in other people, you bring out the best in yourself. Leadership is not about me or just you. Leadership is about helping us all work together. And as a person in a position of leadership, one is better and more effective at achieving the goals by bringing out the best in others. And that brings out the best in the leaders. And I think I can think of no better example than our current president and what he has done so far. So what does this have to do with the title of my speech? Well, there are two elements that every act, every word, every thought can be broken down into. The first is one of love. And by love, I don't mean the romantic, mushy kind of stuff that you see in Hollywood and the movies. What I mean is more like what is termed agape, and a more essential love of one fellow humans. Gates, give me a break here.
Yeah, you say you don't like them.
There's only one other underlying motivation behind a word, a thought, or a deed, and that is fear. This is the continental divide between all words, all thoughts, and all actions. So whatever you do, whatever you say, whatever you think, either comes from a place of love or it comes from a place of fear. And that's it, when you boil it down. So that's what leadership has to do with love, because if, as a leader, your decisions lead to conflict, if they lead to some people being better off but others being worse off, then that comes from a place of fear.